Welcome to Speak Stride English, the best place to help you learn English.
Chapter 2, Following the Compass.
The next day, Mia woke up with a renewed sense of excitement. She wasn't usually a morning person, but today was different. Her mind was buzzing with possibilities as she got ready and tucked the compass safely into her bag. Today, she would begin her search. Her first stop was the local antique bookstore she often passed but rarely entered. It was a charming little place, squeezed between two larger, modern shops. The shop sign read Old Tomes and Tales, and the window display was filled with dusty old books, faded maps, and peculiar objects that looked as though they had stories to tell. As she pushed open the creaky wooden door, a small bell tinkled, announcing her arrival. Inside, the smell of old paper and leather filled the air. Rows upon rows of books lined the shelves, some piled in stacks, others organized meticulously. Behind the counter stood an elderly man with thick glasses perched on the tip of his nose. Engrossed in a book, the man looked up as Mia approached. "Ah, a visitor. Good morning, young lady." He greeted her with a warm smile.
Good morning, Mia replied, pulling the compass out of her bag and placing it on the counter. I was wondering if you could help me with this.
The man picked up the compass, examining it with a practiced eye. This is quite the piece. Not just any old compass. May I ask where you got it? Mia shrugged. It just showed up at my door yesterday. No name, no message. Just this and the word begin etched on the back. The man raised his eyebrows. Curious indeed. This compass seems to have a mind of its own. You see, it's not an ordinary navigational tool. These symbols, he trailed off, running a finger along the compass's face. They're reminiscent of ancient constellations and old alchemical symbols, almost as if this compass isn't meant to show direction in the usual sense. Mia leaned closer, fascinated. So, it's like a puzzle? The man chuckled. A puzzle, a guide, a key. It could be many things, but one thing's certain, it was meant for you. I suggest you pay close attention to where it points you. He paused, his gaze serious. And be prepared. Not all paths are easy. Mia thanked the man, her mind racing. She stepped out of the shop, clutching the compass tightly. The needle, which had been spinning lazily, now seemed to point directly ahead. She followed it through the winding streets, past familiar buildings and cafes, as if the city were subtly transforming into a maze, each turn hiding something she'd never noticed before.
Later that afternoon,
after walking for nearly an hour, Mia found herself in a part of the city she rarely visited, a historic district filled with old architecture, cobblestone streets, and hidden courtyards. She paused for a moment, glancing down at the compass. The needle was steady, pointing her toward a small, ivy-covered building at the end of the street. As she approached, she noticed an old plaque above the door that read, City Museum of Lost Histories. She had never even heard of this place. The building looked deserted, yet the compass needle pointed insistently toward it. Hesitantly, Mia pushed open the door and stepped inside. The museum was dimly lit, with only a few scattered exhibits. In the quiet, she could hear the faint hum of the air conditioning and the creak of the wooden floor beneath her feet. Might I help you? A voice suddenly asked. Mia turned to see a young man standing behind the counter, his messy brown hair falling into his eyes as he adjusted his glasses. He wore a name tag that read Leo.
Oh, hi. Mia hesitated, unsure how to explain. I found this compass, and it led me here.
Leo's eyes widened as he took in the sight of the compass. No way! That's the legendary lost compass. Well, that's what we call it. Anyway, it's said to guide the holder to places with significant historical value or secrets. Mia stared at him, surprised. You mean, other people have had it before me? Only rumors, Leo replied with a grin. But the stories say it appears only to those who are meant to find something important. And each person who's had it found something unique. He nodded toward the museum. If the compass brought you here, it means there's something you're supposed to discover. Intrigued, Mia agreed to let Leo show her around. As they moved through the museum's dimly lit hallways, Leo shared stories about the city's history, the forgotten people who had lived there, and the mysteries that still lingered. When they reached the back of the museum, Leo led her to a glass case containing a faded map. "This is one of our most famous exhibits," he explained. "It's an old map of the city from the 1800s. If you look closely, there are markings on it that don't match any known landmarks. Some people believe these markings represent hidden places, places that were never meant to be found."
Mia looked down at the compass in her hand, noticing that the needle pointed directly at the map. She felt a shiver run down her spine. Was it trying to tell her something?
Leo noticed her expression. "Looks like the compass wants you to pay attention to this map. Tell you what, I can make a copy of it for you to take with you. Just promise you'll come back and let me know if you find anything interesting."
Mia agreed, feeling a strange sense of adventure bubbling inside her. With the map in hand, she left the museum, Leo's words echoing in her mind, places that were never meant to be found.
As she made her way home, Mia couldn't help but glance down at the compass. It was as if it had a mind of its own, guiding her step by step on this mysterious journey. For the first time in a long time, she felt a thrill, a feeling of wonder and curiosity that made her heart race. Into Chapter 2.